All right. Today's going to be a little bit different. Had some unexpected things come up, which I'm going to have to go out and take care of some things here shortly. So this one's going to be a bit early and probably very short. Um, so that's the way it is. Morning, Tim. So a lot of things going on, especially in the world. It's very confusing, very trying times with uncertainty, and the contradictive information you get from one end to the other. Uh, but all I know is, in terms of the global economy, that's what's kind of hurting all of us with all of this wars, whatever's going on. Political divide in this country, okay, is another thing. I believe they shut the government down again or partially shut it down. I can't keep track of it because everything changes every day. But it does in terms, at least to me and the people that, how can I call it? Just the people that are around me where I live in my community. Uh, the financial strain is hurting everyone. They've just recently in the next county. Fortunately, I live like 100 yards into another county. They've increased my taxes uh, over the past 3 or 4 years, but also the appraised value of my house has increased. Okay, so I have equity. Okay, in those terms, it extends the equity in my home. So it's kind of like, even though I pay more taxes, I, you know, it benefits me in a way. Okay, but what has happened is they've raised property values, they've reassessed them in the next county, and also in one city, one major city, they've increased the tax rate. So some people that have been living supposedly in one circumstance have seen a 50 to some people has doubled the value of their property. And not only does that increase the tax, but the increased tax rate has caused a lot of financial mayhem here. Uh, Everything with the war and the gas prices, I've seen a chart. I know a lot of fellows are out west somewhere, some in Oregon and Montana and up in the northwest. Up there, it's over $4 a gallon, and that uh, there. Yeah, I mean that's true. The only thing that helps you is, you know uh, if you got equity in them properties. And of course, with me, I only have one property. It's like when everybody said the property values went up. And one guy says, okay, so yeah, your value of your house went up. And if you went to sell it, you could probably make some money. But he goes, if it's the only house you own, how are you going to replace it? Okay. Like for me, I could not sell this house, take the money out, and, my age and that, buy another house or 30-year mortgage. And to get a home similar to mine and pay for it, I just can't do it. Okay. But on the other hand, two-bedroom apartments rent around here, especially up towards Greensboro in the city limits, for more than what I'm paying on a mortgage of my house. Okay, so it's very strange. If we were to leave the house or sell the house because we couldn't afford to keep it, you know, you can't, because rent an apartment would cost more than what the hell I'm paying on a mortgage that it's getting difficult to afford. So it's like you're trapped. Okay, especially when you're in your 60s, 70s, this ain't a good situation to be in, you know. Uh, Unless you get a micro house down by the, landfill or something, get a little plot of land or something like that, you're in a world of shit. But yeah, hey, Mr. Big Country. So dealing with that, but as far as the channel goes, I started my members video on reloading for the AR-15s. I'm gonna do just, and like some people, when I made the video talking about it, some people go, "Is it worth the money?" Okay. The thing is, like I've expended, I got a ton of brass. I got well over 1,000 pieces of brass. So it kind of behooves me to try to reload something. And, what the difference is, it is a little bit less, the fact that I have the brass that I already paid for. I can come out a little bit less, but see, than buying new ammo or factory fresh ammo. But again, reloading for the AR-15 is not as simple as most people think. A lot of those shells, once you fire them, they really never, even when you size them, small base dies and everything, some of that brass really does not go back to the small dimensions that they came from when they were formed. Okay. They're a few thousandths over, and that's just enough in some guns to where your reloads, even though they fit in the ammo gauges and you measure them, they're all within tolerance, and them reloading little drop gauges. If that cartridge drops into that gauge, it's supposed to fit in any chamber, but with the ARs, sometimes it does not. So it's kind of a difficult field. I'm going to cover that in depth. I've gotten about 3 new powders I haven't tried, and a lot of the guys that come here to these chats and are long-term subscribers have mentioned that Shooter's World, and I finally got some of that powder because it is more cost effective than some of the others. This one powder I got is $40 a pound, but the one that they suggest, I think Tactical Rifle, that's $60 a pound like anything else. So, but I'm going to try some of the low end stuff and see what kind of results I get. Because the whole idea of reloading is to save yourself some money. But if you go through all the trouble to get the equipment, and for somebody starting out new to buy $300-400 worth of equipment and then end up costing you more to reload the ammo with all the issues, the learning curve, and everything else, other than just buying a case of it, could be a waste of time and money. Some of the equipment I've had for 40, 50 years. A couple of the powder scales and some other things I've had for a long time. So it's not that bad. You keep forgetting somebody new or somebody that hasn't got into reloading and would like to get into it. It's kind of hard to advise them because circumstances in that department haven't changed. Powder is almost difficult to find. I went to several, and then again, if you're buying online or having it shipped to you, there's $23 hazmat, and the only way to fend that off is to buy more powder or a large amount of it to spread that cost out per pound. Okay. And that means you have to fork over. This isn't well, I'm going to go buy this. It used to be, I'll get a pound of powder for $20. I'll go get 1,000 primers for another $25, and a box of projectiles, say, for it used to be 10 cents a piece or something like that, or 7 cents a piece. You get 100 of them and go try to load out. You have your fired brass. Well, turns into when you have to buy 6 to 8 pounds of powder, 5,000 primers, and 3,000 projectiles to get them under 10 cents a piece. Now you've laid out a considerable amount of money, okay? And you best really get into reloading and like it. But for me, I want to do some experimentation because now I have a slew of AR-15s of different makes, calibers, twist rates, and everything else. So I figured it'd be a good time to do some experimentation for everybody to keep the channel going. Also, I'm going to review my black powder guns. I have 3 of them I want to try out. They're brass frame Remington new model and 36 caliber I picked up. They had 54 Hawken. I think it's not one of the real expensive ones, but when I did the video and I was checking all of them out, I did keep one. And it is a Hawken style gun, half stock. And then I have a Colt, the 31 1846 there in 31 caliber. I bought that thing over a year ago, almost 2 years ago. And back during the crisis, you couldn't find percussion caps and you couldn't find certain size lead balls. Okay, or the molds even. Ball molds were sold out during that last panic. And I could never find 31 caliber balls. All I want to do is buy like 100, 200 of them instead of fooling around with a mold. I don't really know if I can cast bullets anymore. I haven't cast a bullet in about 2 years. Last time I had to have my wife come out do the pours because my hands shake so bad I can't cast bullets. So that's another thing I may be looking into is either I have to find somebody to cast the bullets for me, or I have to start thinking of selling off all the equipment and stuff. You know, I don't know. That's on top of everything else. And you know, it's like everyone out there. You're getting hit financially. You have to watch what you're doing and start modifying and cutting back in areas where you can on your bills so you don't go bankrupt. And I really don't trust the outcome of anything going on now. That's why I got to go out today. I got to take care of some things that come up unexpectedly. So I have to be leaving here in a short period of time. But I think, and you know, when it happens, decisions made like last evening. I know there's people waiting. As you know, the same fellows show up all the time, and I got no way of saying, "Hey, I have to cancel out," you know. But oh, all right. And the weather has been bad. I know the people in the middle of the country have been getting pounded the last 2 weeks with tornadoes and hurricanes and that. This has probably been the worst year for weather, severe weather in a long time. You know, not like the hurricanes and other natural disasters, but I mean, I forget where I was looking this week. Some states, the Ohio River Valley, I guess, has been getting pummeled, and now it was like 80 some degrees during the week when we were all out working in the yard and doing stuff, you know, me and the wife. And then within a day, I was working in the garage on something, a reloading project, and storm came, and I mean, the temperature dropped. Just some thunderstorms, the clouds got dark in the middle of the day, and it started to rain, and I mean, it dropped like 20, 30 degrees within a matter of hours. And then the sky was blue by dinner time, 5 o'clock, but it was cold, and it's been cold, you know, since then. It warms up a little, but now they're talking some kind of, we're going to get hit with a windstorm, at least where I live, towards the East Coast. It's 70-mile-an-hour winds, maybe, you know, are going to come through. I guess today it's out. Tennessee and everything else is getting hit with some sorts of storms. Um, but this has been since January, yeah, almost 3 months straight of one storm after the other, and the weather uh, doing some damage. That's not good. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good explanation uh, there, Tim. Uh, I have no idea, but in the 21 or 22 years that I have lived here in North Carolina, this has been the worst winter we've had since I moved down here. Okay. And like I said, 22 years. I know up north in Utica, there's people sending me pictures. They're having the St. Patrick's Day parade, and it was snowing, wet, rainy snow, and they're all dressed in green and with parkas and stuff on. And they still have the parade and the bands and stuff. I mean, I remember that, but up there, every now and again that happens. The weather always sucked up in that area, but, you know, but that's the way it is up there. Heavy snow and that is part of the thing. And the infrastructure of the region is set up for it. Okay. So, where the infrastructure here, the way the roads are laid out, physically, the way the roads are, there's areas that are not conducive to any type of freezing ice or snow. Okay. Where up north, they got it over the years. I mean, when it's really bad, it takes them like 48 hours for they have the roads cleared. Okay. In the city and around, where you can get around. The interstates are covered. There's a whole intricate system, and your taxes do reflect the ability for them to do that. That's why one of the reasons I left is the taxes are so high up there. It's not funny, you know, and there's really not a lot of work either. That's why some of these states, New York State is one of them, and New York City is a separate entity all by itself. I'm talking about the rest of the state. Um, it's difficult uh, to survive up there unless like you're making $180,000 a year or something like that. Yeah, because the frost line is deeper up there. It does stay cold. After December, the temperature drops to the 30s or something. They won't go up over 4. It stays colder there longer, more permanently. See, we're here, you don't really get, the cold. Like I said, this year is unusual because the cold stayed longer. Usually it's cold for a few weeks and it gets back up. And that's why your frost line here doesn't go that deep. And that's why up there the roads have to be different and laid out different too. Uh, so, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And then, the war, that's even more every day is crazy. The metals, the stock market, it shoots up, it shoots down. Everything's volatile. Anything to do with money or finances is nuts. Yeah, that's a strange thing. Okay, because usually Utica, we get hit with our fair share of snow, and my brother was telling me that it either snowed 6 feet up north or down south, which usually it impacts the center of that state. And it's just pretty strange that it does that. the weather patterns have changed, and have changed drastically. Of course, another thing I think that explains it is they've seen the northern lights or the aurora borealis. They've seen it. That happened once when I lived up there before I moved, that you could go out and see the aurora borealis, the northern lights, which they're not supposed to be down there in the northern part of New York and Pennsylvania. Okay, so someone has said there's a shift in the electromagnetic field of the planet. Something something's off this year, and I've heard something about that. And I think that's why that guy that explains the weather says for some reason the Arctic air is branching off, coming down across the continent of the U.S. all the way down to the Gulf, which he goes generally with the high pressure and whatever, generally that air stays back. But for some reason this year, there are huge swaths of this air coming down. And I think it might have something to do electromagnetic field. I don't know. Ozone layer thinning out or something. Yeah. Maybe there's some truth in that. But what are you going to do? Ain't really much I could do about it other than get ready for the windstorm coming tomorrow. Get me a little nervous to lose power. That's the one thing I'm worried about. That's why I went and spent all that money cutting these trees down around the property. Because they're too close to the house and just didn't want to get to where I had a tree fall into my damn house. Because that has happened. So, anything, peace of mind, having that done. So, yeah, that's the way it is. But like I said, I might have to get going and cut this short because I got some pressing matters to take care of that I have to get out and do. Yeah, the trees. And so, like I said, I got to cut this short, and I will try to get back next week at the same time. So unexpected things come up today that I have to go and take care of some things fairly early in the day here. All right, then, guys. Thank you for showing up, and I will see everybody next week.